So encourage our kids today. Today, I asked Becky. Becky coordinates our corporate prayer, and I specifically asked Becky if I could run point on our corporate prayer today. Because I've been burdened for the work that we're doing. I've been burdened for the work that we're doing since before I even shared it with anyone other than Victoria, but I've had a specific burden for the work that we're doing. And today, I'd like to call us to a corporate fast. I'd like to call us to not just a corporate fast, but a season of fasting. This has nothing to do with Lent, nothing at all to do with Lent. This has everything to do with seeking the face of God. So what I want to challenge each of us, starting today and through May the 5th, we're going to go verse by verse through the book of Colossians. And I was sharing with a friend of mine, doesn't go to our church, a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, he was asking me where we were going to go, what I was going to be teaching through. And I shared with him that I wanted to teach Colossians because I'm absolutely convinced that only if we have a high view of Christ, the supremacy of Christ over all things, the greatness of Jesus over all things, only if and until we have that, we will never be effective in the mission that he's called us to. And every verse in the book of Colossians talks about the greatness of Jesus, the supremacy of Jesus, the sufficiency of Jesus. And what I felt led to do, and it was affirmed by several in our church that just texted me. I got a text from one of our members saying, have you thought about calling us to a corporate fast? And I had been praying and thinking about when we would do that, not if, but when we would do that. So I'm calling us, if you call Redemption Church Manatee your church, if you call it, whether you're a member here, or whether you just like to come every Sunday, I'm calling us to a time of corporate fasting. And what I've prepared, I put this on our Facebook page, I think yesterday, the day before yesterday, is kind of a practical guide, what I'm calling a practical guide to fasting. So I'm going to invite Dylan and Sean Coase, my two high energy sons, to help me. D-Man, would you help me? Sean Coase, would you help me? Would you give one of these to every person in the band? Sadie, would you help me as well? D-Man, I want you to give one of these to every person on Granny's side of the church. Sadie, I want you to give one of these to every person on Scarlett's side of the church, okay? And make sure everybody gets one. Bring the extras back to me, buddy. Bring the extras back to me, buddy. Thank you. Make sure everybody gets one, okay? You didn't get one, did you? You gave one to everyone else. You can keep one for yourself. There you go, bud. There you go. It's okay. Keep passing them out, D-Man. You're doing great, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Scarlett, you can help the back row here, okay? Once you finish. Sadie, you can help the back row. I'm sorry, Sadie. You need some more? Okay. Sadie's going to hit the back row. Sadie, hit the back row, okay?
I got you to say.
Here you go, D-Man. You get one, too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, he's got the back row, buddy. Come back and sit down. Oh, Mr. Donnie, Dylan, you need one too, okay? Yeah, because I want everyone to have one. I want everyone to have one. Thank you, young lady. Did you get one for yourself? Here you go. So, what I've done, and just a point of transparency, that I never fasted until I was well into my 30s. This was a discipline I was never taught and never learned and just never picked up. It was almost as if it was just, it's assumed through the Old and New Testament that God's people will fast. But I just never, for whatever reason, I had never participated in that spiritual discipline. So what I've done is, I'm guessing I'm not the only one. I'm guessing that there are many here today that have never fasted before. So what I've done is just put through just a practical guide. And just a quick warning, fasting is not like, let's make a deal time with the Lord. And there's lots of books that you'd see at the Lifeway store that have terrible theology of fasting. It's not, let's make a deal time. When we fast, it's what we say, God, more than food, I need your presence in my life. It is a time to seek the face of God. Because when we come to Jesus, it's not to get things from Jesus, it's to get the presence of God in our lives personally. And so our fasting is a time for us individually and corporately as a church to seek the face of God, to seek more of the presence of God. And what I'm going to share as well on fasting is, if you skip breakfast 5 days a week, declaring a fast over breakfast isn't really a fast. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you eat one meal a week and saying, I'm not going to eat lunch every day, that's going to be my fast, that's not really a fast. So it should be some type of sacrifice on your part, where we acknowledge that more than we need this God-given addiction, because food is a God-given addiction, more than we need this God-given addiction, we need the presence of God in our lives. So I want to encourage you to do this with us, to make a point of doing this with us. Several years ago, I led a group of guys that I met with, a group of guys that I was discipling with. We would fast on Thursdays over lunch. And we were all very busy in our works. We all had more work than we could handle. And I warned this group of men, I said, men, just remember, skipping lunch is the easy part. Taking the time as an act of worship is going to be more challenging for all of us, because we could all just work through lunch and we had more work than we could handle. So for us, it was more about the time, focused personal worship, personal prayer, time in the Word, than it was about missing a meal. And this quote at the bottom, I think, is just great, because it summarizes everything. It says, without a spiritual purpose, fasting is just going hungry. So our goal isn't to go hungry. Our goal is to seek the presence of God personally and corporately. So I want to encourage you to do that. Use these practical tips to help you, especially if you're new to fasting. Maybe you're not new to fasting, that's great. But I want to encourage us together and individually to fast. I'm calling us to a fast to seek the presence of God for the next chapter in Redemption Church Manatee. So as I take our corporate prayer and as we kick off the season of prayer and fasting, I want to pray over us as a church family and us as individuals as well. So will you pray with me today?